G'day everybody, Spuddy from Spuds Games. Welcome back to Awesome Weekend Pickups. Let's go. Now this weekend's awesome pickups. Now admittedly today's Tuesday. I've been dragging the chain a bit, sorry about that. But because I did, it actually allowed me to pick up something early yesterday, being Monday. And there's a couple of things I may have picked up Friday as well, but I'm including it all in the weekend pickups. And it's been a very, I suppose, a very good weekend, a very odd weekend. And I've picked up stuff I haven't picked up in a long time, if ever. It's not just what you see here, but they're that big that I picked up that I can't fit it all on here, so I'll do them individually. But to kick it off, first up we've got an Xbox 360. Now this bundle's nothing to write home about except for the price. No, it wasn't free. It was only 30 bucks. So I got this box console, has the manuals, you know, what you would expect with the box console, all the inserts, so that's nice. Always love having a backup 360 that works. They're so hard to find these days. And I think for $30, box console, and it also comes with 4 games and also this boxed control. It is open, yep, it's not sealed or anything like that, but it's obviously been taken good care of. And there is another controller floating around, so it did actually come with 2 controllers. 4 games, they're nothing to write home about. Pro Evolution Soccer, FIFA 11, but then we've got these 2 games which are still sealed. Halo Reach and Gears of War 2. I think I've got both of the games already, but it's always nice just having sealed games, so I'll probably just keep them in the collection. Might send them off to WADA. Just joking. Wouldn't waste my money. So yeah, that was the first bundle, $30. Can't complain. This one here's a bit of a kicker. A guy messaged me probably 3 or 4 months ago, said he's got a bunch of laptops, or he had some old laptops. He just hadn't needed to find them. Thankfully he did message me, he said he found one. Happened to be this one here. So this is a Compaq Armada. The model is, I think it was a 1058D or 1580D or something like that. Windows 1995 laptop. So it has Windows 95 on it. These aren't your sort of standard setup in regards to just wiping it and putting a new or reloading Windows back on as a fresh copy. It's a little bit harder than that. The BIOS is actually on the hard drive, and it's very hard to do it without the Compaq utilities that were provided with the laptop back in the day. I am, I suppose, working my way through archive.org trying to find the right one, but in saying that, I've managed to clean it up, and I've got enough disk drive space on it to start loading games. I think I've left myself with about 800 meg. It does have a 2 gig hard drive in it. Has an MMX 150 in it, Pentium. As I said, yeah, 2 gig hard drive and 36 megabyte of RAM, whopping 36 megabyte. But what's the first thing you do with a Windows 95 device? You load her up. I don't know if you can see it there, that's Duke Nukem 3D playing. I've also loaded SimCity 2000 on it, Wolfenstein, all the classic DOS games, and it plays it just fine. And the good thing is as well, you'll see it's not actually plugged in. Holds charge, the battery still works. Now, I've only ever got it to 80%, never registers 100%, so I have no doubt the battery is probably not functioning fully or its full capacity, just being the age of it, probably never been changed. But it does hold charge, and it gives me about 4 to 5 hours on battery, so that's fine for me. The other good thing is it has a monitor out, VGA monitor out, so I think the maximum resolution it does is 800 by 600. And that's fine for old DOS games, you know. It's you don't need a really super high resolution, and I've played a few games on this and it plays them just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the other stuff in now. Now we've got through that little bit of a bundle there, because the next lot is awesome. So just before we kick off the next bundle, I forgot to mention that little Compaq Armada. That was actually free. He does have more laptops as well. But here we are. This is one of the next 3 things that I picked up. I don't need to move the Xbox stuff because I can fit this all on, I think. So here it is here, an Apple bag. Just kidding. Well, it is an Apple bag. Genuine Apple Macintosh bag, that is. From, I'm guessing, probably late 80s, early 90s, probably more late 80s. It's not just the bag, so that's good. But the bag, I can tell you now, is in really good condition. There is no holes, nothing. Has the shoulder strap, You know, the gentleman I got this off took really good care of it. So I'll open it up. I'll show you what's inside. Never actually seen one. Oh, I don't even remember seeing one of these. Last time I saw one of these was, I think, high school. Maybe even before high school. I think we had one in our library, but anyway. Power cord. Oh, a very nice M0110A keyboard, Apple keyboard, Macintosh keyboard. And I'll see if I can get this out without dropping it. Oh, there we go. So, a genuine Macintosh 512K. The actual model of this is a M0001WP 512K. And yes, it actually does turn on and does display the insert disc, which yeah, is good. Now there is one issue I've already picked up on it, the brightness, the flyback, or there must be some capacitors that need changing in it, because although it does power up, does come up the screen, the brightness is way too high. Even when I turn the brightness right down on the control knob, it's still way too high. It's giving retrace lines. And for those who don't know what that is, when your flyback is, or the brightness on your flyback is a little bit too high, you get these scrolling, really thin lines across your screen, and your screen becomes really washed out. Now that's just to fix it. Quick fix is just jump in, you grab your brightness knob on your flyback and you just turn it down a bit, and it should get rid of those retrace lines. But in saying that, no one's been in here to turn that up, so something has caused that to do that. So while turning the brightness down will probably fix it, it's certainly not the cause of the problem. Now the problem, I'm guessing, will be capacitors. I haven't opened this up, so I don't know how many there is in there. I haven't looked at the circuit diagram, so I'll do that in due course. But the good thing is it does power up, does give me the load screen. I haven't got further than that because the disk drive at the front, like most disk drives that haven't been used in 20 years on these Apple Macs, they've seized up. So the gears have all seized up, the sliders have seized up with the old grease. When that grease doesn't get used or becomes really old, it nearly turns to glue. And you really need to pry them apart, clean them up with alcohol and re-grease them. And once I do that, I'm hoping that it reads okay. And it's just the gears. I do put a disc in, and if I do sort of force it down with my finger, the PC does try and read the disc, but because it's not fully going in and latching in properly, then it's just not reading it. So, and I don't mind that. That's fine. I wouldn't expect it to read it like that anyway. But it does register there's a disc in there, and it does actually try and load the disc. So that's all a positive sign that this thing's going to work okay. Now I do need a long T15 torque bit to get into this, which I don't have in my toolbox. So I'm just waiting for one to arrive. Once I do that, I'll open it up and give it a look through. Turn that brightness down. Get the floppy drive out, re-grease it, clean it all up, put it back in and see if I can get it to load up to the main screen. Also included obviously was the keyboard. Now that keyboard is in super condition. There's no yellowing in that whatsoever. There's also come with this M0130 external floppy drive. Now I had the same issue with this. Now I've managed to open this up and clean this up, and this does accept a disk now. And it does eject the disc, accept the disc, not a problem, doesn't lock up. But before when I got it, yeah, you couldn't even get a disc inside it. It actually wedged itself or moved itself down to the point where you could not even get a disc in. I basically had to pry it open, the gears open the jaws back up, and then get it moving again and get alcohol on it, get all the old grease off, and then re-grease it. And it seems to be working okay now. Troubling thing is, I couldn't get anything to load from this disk, even when plugged in. So either the Mac wasn't sensing the floppy drive was there, or there's another issue with this, I don't know. But I'll find out in due course anyway, once I get working on this thing. There was some disk, etc. With this as well. But the other good thing was it come with the bus mouse, the M0 or the MO100 bus mouse for the 512K. So I've never had an Apple before, never owned an Apple, so I'll be actually learning as I go about the operating system and whatnot, so it should be a fun trip. And not only that, obviously got this really cool bag to put it in, so yeah, I can't complain. And now I'll go and grab the next thing that I want to show you because it's just as cool. So next up, I've got this beauty. Now, once again, I've never owned one of these before, so I was really excited when I picked this up. I wasn't expecting this to work. It was untested, and I was right. It doesn't work. Now, I'm hoping it's a pretty easy fix, and judging by a lot of forums out there, there's three main things that go wrong with these. One I've already checked and ruled out, but the other ones I'll quickly run through as well. So first up, the monitor does turn on, but I've got nothing to plug it into because the PC doesn't work. I'm still researching whether I can utilise an old PC like that Compaq Armada that I showed you before, and whether you get a VGA to RGB adapter for this, because this is I think it's a 15 pin connector. VGA's, this must be bigger than, so VGA I think is 15 pin. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's a 16 pin by the looks of it. So anyway, different configuration. But from what I understand, I think it's maybe a 25 kilohertz or 30 kilohertz signal as well. So it's definitely not RGBS, because I have seen adapters for the LC PC to VGA monitors, so I kind of need that in reverse to test the monitor. I'll keep doing some investigations. Now, as for the monitor itself, as I said, the monitor turns on, but I just have no way to see if there's a picture coming up on it yet. The computer doesn't turn on. Opened it up. Now you can see the power supply here that I've pulled out. Pretty sure this is the main problem. Well, this is definitely the main problem because there's two voltages you're supposed to get out of this, and I'm only getting one, which is the 5 volt. And I'm only getting like half a volt on the 12 volt side of things. So open it up and there is definitely a capacitor leak inside this. I can see one capacitor that's just exploded out the bottom and it's got all this gunk and stuff. So I've ordered a capacitor replacement kit for this, so hopefully that'll fix the power supply problem. I've also changed the PRAM battery. Luckily there was no battery leakage in there. It was really super clean. Changed that. And if I can't get it working, then I'll go through and I'll change the other surface mount capacitors that are in this. I think there's about a dozen of them that people recommend to change. I have had a look at it already. There does appear to be some corrosion around those capacitors. When I say corrosion, you can sort of, it gets a little bit dusty around those terminals, a little bit greenish tinge, and the components around it as well. So I can just see that starting to form, which is kind of telling me those electrolytic capacitors have leaked. But I'll get the power supply done, see if I can get it to power up at least. Get it to power up. If there's more problems, then I'll delve further into changing those. I'll probably change them anyway. But first things first, we'll get it to boot up. So yeah, so the monitor powers up. The LC doesn't power up, but hopefully I can get that to power up with fixing the power supply, the capacitors inside. Come with the mouse here as well. Very similar looking to the 512K bus mouse, but this is a G5431 mouse, which is very similar to your old PS2 style connection. Could be a PS2 style connection, I'm not sure. I don't know much about Apple, to tell you the truth, and I'm really keen to learn. That's why I'm keen to get these working. And it also comes with this keyboard, a standard keyboard for it as well. There is a cable floating around for it as well to plug into the PC. So the keyboard is a M011 or MO or M0115 keyboard as well. All in all, there is a little bit of yellowing to it, and that's kind of expected. But I might even clean this up, and while I'm waiting for the capacitors, I'll clean it up and I'll just whack it out in the sun for a few days. Obviously not in weather, but some nice bright sunshine, a bit of retro brighting. Hopefully it brings it up a little bit whiter than what it is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it the way it is at the moment, but a couple of days out in the sun probably isn't going to hurt it too much. And don't worry, I'm not going to leave it all closed up. I will strip it down and whatnot, so I'm not leaving the electronics out in the sun for hours on end in 30-degree temperatures. So that's number 2, an Apple LC with the monitor, keyboard and mouse. Doesn't power up, but hopefully we can get that fixed in future videos. I'll go and grab the third thing now, which is quite an odd thing. I've never ever seen this before. And hopefully someone out there can give me some more information on what this thing actually is. So here we are, the third thing that I've picked up that I've never seen before. Or actually, no, never seen this one before. This is an Outbound Systems, I think it's called, or it's definitely Outbound. I think it's called Outbound Systems. Laptop or notebook or portable, whichever one you want to call it. Now, I thought, judging by the kangaroo logo, and I think this is an Outbound Wallaby is the actual model number of it. It's an Australian company, but it's not. I think they're from Colorado in the US. So I'm not sure what the Aussie tie in there is with the kangaroo and whatnot, but yeah, it's an American company. Now, I'm led to believe what's inside is actually an Apple notebook or an old Apple notebook clone. It accepts all the Apple, well, originally when they sold these, they actually didn't sell the Apple chip to go in them, the RAM chip, I think it was called. You had to buy that separately from Apple, and you plugged it in and you got essentially an Apple clone notebook. So this is it here. It's just a little luggable thing, but it is pretty cool. I'll open it up. There's some clips at the top here, which essentially just fold the keyboard down. Nice little keyboard there, and that's totally separate from the screen. Now the screen itself, there's a couple of clips on the back here. I'll just open up. There's a base that folds out now, spring-loaded base, and that just sits there like that. Now the connection, there is no connection, or I think you can connect between the keyboard and the head unit itself. I'll just flip these keys up so you can see it. So that's how it would sit. But it has, you might see this little red square here on the keyboard. It's actually infrared. So between the two of them, there's a signal that gets sent, and the keyboard is actually wireless from the head unit itself. I haven't been able to get this to turn on, primarily because the keyboard needs batteries in it, and it takes a special battery that took me a little while to find, but I found one. I'm just waiting for it to get delivered. And to turn it on, there's no on button on it. You essentially, from what I can tell, is you hold all the arrow keys down while holding, I think, the option button, and it should turn it on. But I don't know until I get the battery for the keyboard, so it sends the signal to the PC. Now, it did come with a couple of cool things as well, like everything I picked up this weekend. It's kind of like, but wait, there's more. So it also come with, if I can just open this up, the bag also too, similar to the Macintosh bag, in really, really good condition. It's a little bit faded, but it's not dusty or anything like that. So it come with this external floppy, which I believe you can actually use on either the 512 or the LC. Just doing a bit of research. It comes with a cable to plug into this, because this doesn't come with a floppy. It only comes with, I think, a couple of serial cables and maybe a monitor out, so you can use it on your 512K as your monitor. There's another adapter cable there, so it takes like a unique, really weird sort of cable. I'll pop up some photos as I'm talking there so you can see what I mean. And then there's so if you're using this directly with this, you can use the standard cable it comes with. But if you're using it with the 512, you can actually, it's got like an adapter unit. So this part of it, you would plug that into there. That would plug into there, and this part would then plug into your, I think, into the back of your 512K, and you've got another external external floppy drive for your 512. Now I haven't tried it. I'm only doing the research on the internet, so once I get that 512K up and running properly, I'll give it a go, and hopefully this laptop fires up. It does show signs of life when I plug the power supply into it. The power light comes on. It doesn't do anything because I just can't get that thing to turn on. So hopefully, I mean, I could wire up a 3-volt positive negative from power supply I got here, but I think I'd just rather get the battery and try it than trying to, jimmy something up to try and get it to turn on. I'll just wait for the battery to show up. It's only a day or two away. But yeah, I'll throw up some part numbers and what of this. Look, I've never heard of these. I don't know exactly what's inside it. The gentleman did say it had a C2 chip in it, which I'm assuming must be the Apple Macintosh chip. I don't know. Maybe someone out there can tell me, but he essentially offered this to me because I picked up the 2 Apple computers. He said, "Why don't you have this as well?" And he said, in all honesty, when I packed it away, it worked fine. And that's understandable. I don't expect him to test it or anything like that, especially when he's given it to me. So hopefully with that battery in there, power supply plugged in, this thing will fire up. And if it does, I'll do another video on it. So the last thing I'll pop up, it's just a box of software and whatnot that he also gave to me. I'll quickly run through that and that'll be the video. So last but not least, there's this box of, I'm not going to call it junk, because it's not junk, but basically software, manuals, whatever you can think of that I've just shown you is included in here. ClarisWorks, FileMaker, all the system disks that you're going to need, all the manuals to the LC, all the manuals to the RGB monitor. There's a 512K manual in here. As I said, all the system disks, all the backup disks, etc., all the original disks. So I'm yet to go through this complete thing, but I will eventually one day go through it and work out what I want to need and what I want to get rid of. But I know everyone's probably thinking the big question, so how much did that whole Apple lot cost me? So all up, those 3 PCs and the software cost me $400 Australian. Now I fully bought this knowing that most of it probably wouldn't work straight off the bat. Just being on electronics, that's the experience that I know of. But hopefully it's not too much of a hard fix for most of it. Most of it I've done a lot of research on, and it doesn't seem to be too hard to fix the problem. So we'll just wait and see, I suppose. But the way I look at it, I'm not going to get stuck with it. If I decide to offload it, then let's face it, if I break those bundles up, I'm going to more than get my money back. So hopefully that won't be the case. I might end up just going, you know what, this project's too big for me and I'll get rid of it. But hopefully, and my goal is to keep it all, get it all working and actually use it, because I do want to learn about those old vintage. I'm pretty good across PCs, Windows 3.1, the old DOS systems and whatnot. I'm pretty good with that. No good with the Apple stuff, so I've got no idea where to start with Apple. Even to this day, I would have no idea how to use my wife's MacBook. So I suppose let's go right back to the start and learn how to use the vintage stuff before I learn how to use the more modern stuff. So that's it for the pickup video for this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a bit of a different one. Usually it's all video games and whatnot, but we've got some vintage PCs here and some vintage laptops, so just to mix things up a bit. And there's bundles that I couldn't pass up. Let's face it, I'll collect anything that looks like a computer or video game, and it's a good price. So that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Next weekend, I'm sure we'll have some more awesome pickups. So I'll see you then.